great deal of satisfaction to see the changes in attitudes among our Indian children, even among the other children in the school as well, as they become conscious of the rich heritage of our Indian children. Very few of them had ever heard the history of our Indian community and our Indian people except through the eyes and the pens of the white man. And now they're seeing as the legends and the stories of history are passed down from the older people to the younger ones that have in school. For the first time, the other children in the school are seeing some of the beauty and some of the rich history and legends through the eyes of the red man rather than through the eyes of the white. And I think that this is done as much, perhaps, or almost as much, for all the children as is done for the Indian children.
Very good. Okay.
Okay.
And Fred, would you tell us what your name is and what your position is?
My name is Fred Diaz. I'm the director of the YES project.
Okay, would you describe for us what the YES project is?
All right. The YES project, first of all, the acronym stands for Y for the Yakima language, E for English, or ESL, English is a second language, Spanish, or SSL as it's commonly referred to, meaning Spanish is a second language. It's unique, or we feel our program is unique in that it's departmentalized. It also has learning centers where we have children in kindergarten through third grade rotating around. Instead of being stationary in one classroom, they rotate around to 4 centers where we have specialists, one in the language center, one in the arts and crafts center, one in the reading center, and one in the math center. And the uniqueness, I think, of the project is that it offers 3 languages. Oftentimes, people will tend to think that this means that the youngsters are taking all 3. Well, actually, we offer 3, but only children will take English and either Spanish or Yakima. And I have, in the 4 years we've been funded, I have yet to see another program that offers this kind of offering. Very few, in fact, like I said, I haven't found any that offer 3 languages. There's usually just 2. Many, many bilingual programs, but very few that are trilingual as ours is. And basically, the children rotate around and go to the specialists. In a reading center, we have 1 or 2 aides that assist the specialist in each center. The children then are diagnosed with testing, and we find out what levels they need help in. They're put in groups then and are given academic work to meet the needs of their needs.
What would you characterize as the goals of this program, and what need did you see that resulted in this program?
Okay, the basic goals, I think, are 2, although we have 5. The 2 that I feel the most important is to meet the academic needs of all children, not just the minority children, but all children. Secondly is the concept, the encouraging and the teaching and learning of a better self-image that I think through our program help all of our youngsters in our program. I think these 2 are the 2 basic ingredients of our program, and I think my own personal biases, if I have any, would be that the first one is to raise the self-image of a youngster has to be the first step in learning, because I think until a child feels good about himself or herself, academic learning won't take place. You can have the best teacher and the best books, but until a child feels good about themselves, the learning just won't be there. Also, another objective is the community involvement and the parental involvement that we've had. We've seen it through the year, and I think this program, more than any other program I've ever seen in Top Nation, I was raised in Top Nation, has done more to combine the different cultural people of the community together. At first, I think it was reluctant by some because they were not knowledgeable about what it was. It was a threatening thing, but I think those aspects speak to our program.
Why was there a specific need, say, among the minority groups in in the Toppenish area, the Yakima area, for a program like this? What set them apart from the larger population?
Well, the dropout rate, I think, is a concern not only here in this area but throughout the country. It has been for many, many years. We have made tremendous progress, but I think we have a long way to go. And I think initially this was something that was a concern to many, many people. Mr. McEwen, the principal of Lincoln School, first saw this and saw what the bilingual program in his school was doing. He liked it so much that he felt that he ought to have another program similar to, but not identical to, the bilingual program, and as a result, he wrote the trilingual, tricultural, or multicultural now as we have it, program, which is the YES program that we have now. But I think the dropout rate, which with this comes this self-image thing that I told you about, I think they're all interwoven. But I think the dropout rate and the involvement of community and the children feeling good about themselves, wanting to come to school, and being able to meet success, all of these were things that I think spurred Mr. McEwen into first writing the project or the program.
What is your involvement in this program?
I'm the director of the program, and I oversee really the entire program with close work with the principals. We have a program, we had two full programs at Lincoln School and at Garfield School when we were funded fully. And that was to say that we had the departmentalized, the learning centers at both schools. This last year, because of funds being cut, we went with a full program at Lincoln School and only a language and cultural center at Garfield School. And my job is to assist the principal in running the program, interviewing the applicants, supervising, observing, providing workshops for my staff, and all of the management and fiscal aspects of the program is my responsibility.
Where do you draw your teachers from? And what sort of capabilities do they need in order to be able to teach the program?
The teachers initially were drawn from within a district, and then after that we saw that we needed to get more minority teachers involved. Teachers that were Yakima, teachers that were Mexican teachers or of Mexican-American background, to try to implement the program as we had written it. Now this isn't often, we're not often able to do this because of lack of teachers sometimes, but I think now in this day and age with the colleges now recognizing the need for bilingual, bicultural programs, more minorities are coming through the colleges and are available to work. And the district has made a commitment to hire as many minorities as is possible whenever they're available. And right now I think that we have about 70% of our staff is minority. And in each center we have at least one and sometimes two minority staff of the target cultures that we serve.
How do you use culturally relevant materials and concepts in the program? What kinds of things do you choose to use? Legends, stories, handcrafts, and that sort of thing. And how do you incorporate them in the overall educational program?
Okay, the cultural aspects of our program is one that we really like to stress because, again, as I said earlier, I think it's a very, very important part of children. Along these same lines, I'd like to make perfectly clear, too, that when you talk about culture, oftentimes you think the culture of the Mexican or the culture of the Yakima, but we fail to realize that understanding cultures is something that has to be given to all students. It isn't a minority problem, this this cultural lack of knowledge. I think it's an Anglo problem too. And so they have to know, they have to be made aware that it isn't just us, but that we're all together, and the more they know about us and the more we know about everyone, the better it's going to be for everyone. Now, to answer your question more specifically, initially there were very few materials, particularly Yakima materials. The language was just being developed, and we worked very closely with the Johnson O'Malley Consortium that is in process of developing materials such as this book that I have here. This is a student's copy of materials that are being developed by an ex-teacher of ours, Rose Bassett, who worked very closely with staff on Johnson O'Malley. And what this is a Yakima language for the primary level, where you have the Yakima language, various exercises that involve not only activities, but beginning reading, language activities, and cultural activities, then are supported with things like The Way It Was, which was Yakima Indian legend book that was just produced last year. This is an excellent book that has been done by the Yakima people that have lived here for many, many years. If I understand correctly, they went to many of the people that spoke, some of them only Yakima. Their voices and the stories were told in Yakima and then translated over. So it's very original. And these books were, like I said, just given and put on sale last year. They are also in process of doing and developing more materials so that our teachers and our staff don't have to rely entirely on their own backgrounds to develop materials. We are in process also are doing such things as cultural activities that relate to language, both English and in Yakima. Hazel Umtouch has begun to develop these, and we want to expand not only with the Yakima tribes, but also tribes within the entire country. The emphasis, as I said, changed from a tricultural emphasis to a multicultural emphasis. And I recently put together things like this that have about 40 different countries, just very basic. They appear for an adult very elementary, but if you stop and think that this is maybe a kindergarten student, a first grade student that is learning a sentence that may just be as it says, here's an Arabian boy, he is from Arabia. And then in Spanish to say that, and then in Yakima to say, this is very, very challenging. And so I think to have a multicultural approach will help in the total picture of the educational aspects of any child.
Fred, let me ask you one question about those materials now. Were they developed under funding that you sponsored? Or
Title VII. These others were Johnson O'Malley. Title IV, Johnson O'Malley.
And they came after you had started
Yes.
programs in your school?
Yes. Yes.
But they're now being incorporated into this cultural curriculum
Yes.
in your school. So, because one of the questions I was going to ask is for you to talk a little bit about how the teachers or how the people go about developing specific curriculum for the program.
And we have some teachers.
Yeah, we have teachers to talk about.
Right.
But there's also the parent input that we
Right,
talk a little bit about.
Yes.
Fred, I would be interested to know what you consider. The program has now been in effect for a couple of years, right?
This is our 4th year.
Okay. What has the effect been, insofar as you can measure? Let's say, have you done any serious evaluation? Have you made any serious attempts to evaluate what the change in attitude, what the change in behavior, the change in the dropout rate has been? And if not, do you have a sort of a gut feeling about what the effect of the program has been on the kids that it serves?
Yeah, the evaluation part, I think if I was to pick an area that I think needs improvement in, it would have to be the total evaluation, because I find that in most federally funded programs, they are evaluated on an academic level primarily. I would say 99% of most programs are evaluated on an academic level. Well, that doesn't speak to our program, because the area that I think our kids have made the most progress is on the cultural aspects of it. And thus far, there aren't too many tests that really can prove how or whether or not a person has his self-esteem has progressed. There are some that have been just produced. In fact, recently I have ordered one that was developed in California for 3rd graders that I'm going to give a pre and post test that shows whether there's been progress on cultural sensitivity or cultural awareness on behalf of the student. But I think that that's our key to our program, and yet to be able to turn around to people and say, prove to me that this has happened, it has to be done by teacher evaluation, parental involvement, and my observation. And based on these and the few parents that I have talked to, I'm very, very positive that there's been improvement. We see it by the fact that attendance has improved. Children, minority children especially, now are coming to school and now are standing up and sharing some of their cultural background, their foods, their clothing. They wear braids, they wear moccasins, they wear clothing that relates to their culture, as do the other minorities. In the past, this wasn't the case. In the past, I can recall myself, you know, when we ate our own cultural food, we didn't eat it where people could see us. We were under the bleachers. You don't see that anymore. You see kids coming to school now sharing their Indian fried bread, sharing their tacos, and the Anglos wanting to share. That alone, to me, speaks better than any test that these other people have put together. I'm just sold on the idea that we have been successful.
How has the program been accepted by the Indian adult community, the Hispano adult community, and the overall community as a whole?
I think it's been, initially, the first year or two, we had some problems like any new program will have. Most of the problems stem from, I guess it could best be summed by saying, the old saying, people are down on things they're not up on. And that was precisely what was happening to our program. It's just like when bilingual education first came to be. People didn't understand it and therefore were against it. But now that they understand that we're sincere in what we're trying to do, the Anglo community, the Hispanic community, I think the Yakima community and the Indian community at large, for the most part, I say, are fully receptive to this. This was shown by our cultural events that we have. We have 2 or 3 cultural events each year where we have foods from all the ethnic groups represented, a big potluck. And then we have a program. We have Indian dancing, dances in Mexican dances and songs. We've had as many as 500 to 600 people from the community together, whereas before in the history of Toppenish, as far back as I can think, I can never remember seeing this kind of ethnic groups. Most of it was, and no offense to the groups, civic groups that might have been there, but they were, for the most part, white faces. And this, to me, just proves to me, as I said before, it's doing something that other programs have never done.
What plans do you have, or what plans does the school system have for continuing this program and perhaps expanding it in the future?
We have plans to expand by way of funding, but as was stated earlier, the funds every year get to be a little harder and a little tougher to compete for. A good example of this is last year the state of Washington was appropriated $1,200,000 for the specific Title VII funds that we compete for. Of these, there were 4 districts that were funded. There was Tacoma and Seattle, which are very, very big cities, Pasco, which is about a little bigger than Toppenish, and then Toppenish. We were funded for about $108,000, and one of the projects was funded for $500,000. So the competition is very, very tough. We would like to expand, but like I say, right now I think if we can keep our program as it is, and if we can prove further that we're successful, I think our chances are just that much better for funding. So we plan to increase our program, but it'll probably be a year after.
Any other questions? No. No, that was 5. And then involvement of other adults in the area, say, and that would include as resource people
Right,
as well.
okay.
You know, people who come in and talk about the various cultures.
All right.
Okay. Would
Sure.
you just like to
Sure.
tell about parental involvement and adult
All
involvement?
right. The parental involvement is another one of our 5 objectives. And the way we involve them, well, number one, by law, we have to have a parent advisory committee. Ours is made up of 12 individuals, and it has to be ethnically balanced. This sounds rather funny when you first hear it, but what it is we have 4 Anglos, 4 Mexican Americans, and 4 Native Americans. I think this is good because you get really good input from the groups that we serve. We even have, in fact, 3 high school students that are on our committee, and they are ethnically balanced. We meet monthly, and their responsibility is to give our program advice. They're an advisory capacity type of committee. Nothing is done without their approval, and that is everything from any changes in our project, academic changes, fiscal changes, any of these are approved by the PAC. Other involvement, we have resource people that come into our classes and share with the groups anything that they feel like they want to share, such things as cooking, sharing of artifacts, arts and crafts, this type of thing. In fact, it's written, we feel it's so important that we've written it into our budget so that we can pay these people a little bit for their coming and going. We also just have an open door policy for parents that want to come in and sit in with their youngsters and follow them around. I think that the parental involvement has been very, very good. One of the most successful ways of getting them involved, I have found, for people that may anticipate a program like this, is to involve their children. You involve their child, and the parents are going to be there. And you'll have more parents. You'll have the grandparents. You'll have the cousins. You'll have the dog and the cat. Everybody will be there. If that kid does nothing more than just carry the flag out there or something, or has one line, his child's involved, and the parents will be involved.
Okay.